Good evening, Kevin.
Glad for you to join me on my final Sunday show. We're going to get you on during the week. It goes without saying. First off, let's talk about Harry and Meghan. Big fanfare in the week that they've been nominated for an award from the Hollywood Critics Association, which is not much of an organisation, trust me. It's not a very prestigious award, to say the least. What they were hoping for was an award for an Emmy, or a nomination for a very prestigious Emmy. Guess what? They didn't get one, and apparently they're very miffed about that.
Well, it seems, yes, very miffed, because, I mean, this so far, their six-part docuseries for Netflix slagging off the royal family was their life's work so far, and they were hoping to get an Emmy. And as you well know, Kevin, you get an Emmy. That is quite prestigious to, you know, for you and for the program, and for obviously for the future. People are going to look at you in a much more prized way rather than you. But, you know, this Critics Association TV award, I mean, it's akin like getting a sort of a badge off a bottle of a jar of marmalade or something like that. It was ridiculous. So they're in a bad way really at the moment, because, you know, fortunately they've been quite quiet over the last 2 or 3 months, because they've got nothing else to say about anything. We know they're losing Spotify. We know they may well lose their Netflix account as well. And it's interesting, isn't it, that we're now hearing that Meghan is going to carry on with a few solo projects. So in effect, she's sacked Harry out of this duo there, and she's concentrating on a few more solo projects. She's been signed up by a top Hollywood talent agency. I think they represent Adele and someone else. I can't remember who it is. And she's looking more forward towards that. And obviously they're saying that Harry's still very much supporting her. Well, I would have to wait and see how this all pans out. But I think being snubbed for an Emmy is a big is a big no-no for them, really.
Yeah, because an Emmy, I mean, the Hollywood Critics Association award, as you say, I mean, you know, you might as well give them a jam jar. It doesn't matter. Yeah. No. But an Emmy, even a nomination for an Emmy, is a big deal. That can materially affect your commercial prospects. So it'll make them seem as if they're doing things that are valuable. But what's happened with these two is, I don't think Netflix, or for that matter Spotify, they never had this idea that Harry and Meghan would be sort of producers, saying, you know, we're going to make this series about Miss Havisham from Great Expectations. We're going to make this series, you know, about Emily in Paris, only with a man. They didn't want Harry and Meghan to be behind the scenes producers. No. And frankly, they've got neither the talent nor the heritage to do that. They're not producers. Where did this come from?
Let's be honest about it, Kevin. The only reason that Netflix and Spotify wanted Harry and Meghan is because of their links with the royal family. That's the only kudos that they would bring to the table. Now, they've done all that. They've done all the business, although both Netflix and Spotify, I should imagine, were a bit miffed when they decided to go on to Oprah Winfrey to unburden their poor souls about the awful life that they had within the royal family. And that was the start of their continual pouring bucket loads over the king, Queen Camilla, William, Catherine, Uncle Tom Cobley, anybody who had any connection with the royal family, you know, got it all. So that was their only thing that they had. Now, as you quite rightly say, they're sort of coming up with ideas, and let's not forget that one of Harry's brilliant ideas was an interview with Vladimir Putin.
Not forgetting his proposed interview with the Pope about fatherhood.
Yeah. I mean, if you're
last time I checked, I wouldn't imagine the Pope would be an expert on fatherhood, would you?
No, I mean it's just not feasible. These are the sort of things he comes up with, and of course he was when he was making these proposals, let's not forget that he was expecting people to actually do all the work, i.e.
That's
get it
right.
all fixed up, and then he would add the questions later. So there's nothing that they can bring to this showbiz table or celebrity table that they're now living in anymore that's going to give them anything. And it's, they're going to be down to the last few million now quite soon,
Yeah, and it does look like there's a parting of the ways, that he's going to pursue kind of worthy projects like documentaries on underprivileged people in Africa, and she's going to see how she gets on in Hollywood. So I think they're at the crossroads. It'll be interesting to see what they do going forward. Meanwhile, back here in Britain, this was a story that I thought was strange. Charles has got this cottage that he built and developed, or rather renovated, down in Wales when he was the Prince of Wales. It's on the outskirts of the Brecon Beacons National Park. So Prince William is now Prince of Wales. So he has effectively taken ownership of the beloved holiday residence of his dad, and he's told him, he said, you'll have to move out, and if you want to rent the place, it's going to cost you £2,400 a week. Apparently the king is very upset about this.
Well, I think this is a bit of a mischief story. This is really, you're quite right, this cottage is part of the Duchy of Cornwall, and the Duchy of Cornwall, which is what is what now the Prince William is now looking after, this duchy, and this cottage was part of it. And Charles leased the cottage back from the duchy so that he could use it. Now he's now king. It goes back to the duchy of. It goes back into the ownership of the duchy, which is run by his son Prince William, and he's come up with a plan that he's going to rent it probably out to tourists. Now you're going to have to find a tourist that's got to come up with something like £2,400 a week to stay there. It is quite an exquisite cottage. But I suspect that William, if Charles really wants to go and stay there, I suspect that William will do some mates rates for his dad.
Well, one would hope so. Last point, Charlie. Prince George will not be expected to join the armed forces before becoming king, and that breaks centuries of tradition. But his dad, William, has backed him to shape his own destiny. What do you make of this? It's always been a tradition.
These are two historians that have come up with this. We're moving forward. It's the modern royal family. He doesn't have to join the armed forces. May I remind people, he's actually going to be just 10 next Saturday. I mean, he's not in any position to make a decision. He probably still wants to be a policeman or a spaceman or something or other at the moment. I cannot believe that George will not go into a branch, at least one branch of the armed forces, when he is old enough. This is the tradition of the royal family. This is where he is going to be, the king one day, and all the previous kings and consorts and everything else have all had a marvellous record, even Harry, within the military. So, and when I said even Harry, I didn't mean that to
you think that George might end up in the military anyway? I
think he will. Yeah, I'd be surprised if he does not end up in the military when the time comes, and that's going to be when he's about 17, 18, maybe even a little bit later. He's got lots of time to shape his future. He's got a lot of things to learn. He's learning at the moment about ruling, about being a king, exactly like his dad had to do when he was his age from his father. There's only a few people that can teach him this. And there's the king and his father. They're the only two people who can pass on, the rules of what he's got to do.
As you said, Charlie, give him a break. He's only 10 at the moment. 10. So let's leave it a few years before we decide what job he's going to do. Listen, Charlie, I want to thank you for all your help over the past year or so, to your invaluable contributions to this show, and you'll be on my weekday show as sure as night follows day for probably very soon. So thanks again, Charlie, and thanks for today. That's Charlie Rae, the brilliant former royal editor of The Sun.